Yes, good morning, and welcome to Black Shirt Friday. Yes, I'm speaking, of course, to my HAVPA class. I really hate that name. It's Arts and Humanities. But yes, welcome to HAVPA class this morning. Um, if you noticed, hopefully, I already have sent you an email last night. I sent you another one this morning. Um, Please take the time to look at that video. Like I said, I really wish that we could watch that video together. I mean, I'm coming at you a little later than I wanted to this morning because I turned on that Rick Steve video. It's one of my favorite Rick Steves videos, and where he starts exploring Italy, not Italy, Rome. Yes, Rome, and he talks about Baroque art in Rome, Italy. And one of the places he goes is, yes, inside St. Peter's Basilica, which is closed now. And I keep talking about to you guys that hopefully when this is over, that one day that you'll take it upon yourselves to travel. I mean, come on, guys, there is so much more to this life, to this world than Boone County or Northern Kentucky or state of Kentucky or whatever. And there is only a limited amount of time in your life, in my life, in anybody's life. And to be real honest, your best opportunities to do meaningful travel for most of you will be within the next 5 years. After 5 years, suddenly you have a job, and suddenly you start having payments, and then you have attachments, and suddenly travel, which I mean, travel's fairly expensive and also time consuming, and therefore you know it's very difficult to do until you get to be an old guy like me, and then you can go during the summer, for example, or go during spring break, or go during Christmas break. I mean, not everybody gets 2 weeks off for Christmas, but you know, I could. Well, anyway, yeah, travel, go see places, expand your horizons. Travel is the best gift you can give yourself. Okay, now that's enough talking about that. Now I'm going to yell at what's terrible. I'm going to yell at the people who are doing the right thing. First of all, to you people who are doing the right thing, meaning that you tune in every day, that you are diligently taking notes, that, good job. I don't think you're going to have any problem with this test today, which I think is like 40 points. I believe it has a time limit of 20 minutes, but it has a time limit of today. Started at 7 o'clock this morning and will expire at 11:59 tonight. And I intend to use that as a gauge. I'll look under grades in Canvas and see who took it and who didn't. And I have everybody's phone numbers written down, and I intend to make phone calls. And yes, oh, was blank, huh? Ah, well, we'll figure out that. One of the true false ones was blank. It was fairly easy, Mr. Beach. But anyway, getting back to the matter at hand, I intend to make phone calls, and I intend to talk to you who are not doing the due diligence, not doing what you are supposed to be doing. Yeah, Mr. Beach, I am sorry about that. I'm still learning Canvas, and next time I'll be better. I do promise that. So, where were we? Yes, so I'm going to intend to make these phone calls, and I intend to find out, and oh, yes, I'm also quite familiar with that cute little trick that I don't know that anybody's done this. I don't know it, but other teachers have told me that students have given them phone numbers that are not exactly accurate. And that's okay. I mean, you guys see, you guys are approaching, and I'm not talking to the guys who are watching right now. I'm talking to the guys who aren't watching. But once again, the bottom line is this: I get paid. Whether you pass or not, I get paid. Whether you graduate or not, I get paid. And so, I'm going to go out here and swing my bat every day, throw my pitch every day, in an effort to give you the opportunity to learn something about this, which you are required to by the state of Kentucky. But if you don't do it, in the end, I get paid. And I'm making a record of that. This is how it is. This is how the world is that you are so anxious to enter. That in the end, it is a cash and carry world. You receive for what you do. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. And so, yeah, I'll be making a number of phone calls this weekend. And that quiz is fairly easy. And I'll start this morning on making our next one to finish this next unit. And it will be a better test. And question 14 won't be blank. Thank you for that, Mr. Beach. And it was an easy test. So let's just talk a little bit about the Baroque period, because you actually have a lot to do today regarding this class. I mean, that Rick Steves video where he, and he doesn't just talk about Baroque art, but he talks a lot about it. Baroque means fancy. And when you watch the Rick Steves video, I swear wish I could be watching it with you. I wish that I could sit down with you. And when he, for example, when he goes over the art pieces of Gian Lorenzo Bernini's masterpieces. For example, Gian Lorenzo Bernini creates a David. In fact, Rick Steves is going to show you David. And Gian Lorenzo's David, which is the same David Michelangelo did, the same David Donatello did, but Donatello's David and Michelangelo's David are both just standing there. But Gian Lorenzo's David, if you look at that, is wound up like a spring, and he is ready to let that rock fly and strike Goliath in the head. See, that is the essence of Baroque, much more detailed. And also Gian Lorenzo Bernini's greatest work of art is often considered the Ecstasy of St. Teresa. Now, if you look at the Ecstasy of St. Teresa, which Rick Steves shows you, the Ecstasy of St. Teresa is a work of art. And by the way, it has the Ecstasy of St. Teresa has two pieces. It has the statue, the marble statue of St. Teresa and an angel, and the angel thrusting using an arrow to insert the Spirit of God into St. Teresa. And on the other side, you have four guys who are watching, like it's theater. Those four guys paid for the Ecstasy of St. Teresa, so that's why they're in there. But anyway, what Rick Steves alludes to, and what he doesn't really go and talk a whole lot about it, take a good look, if you will, and stop the video and take a good look at St. Teresa's face. What Gian Lorenzo wanted you to get out of that was that this woman, who was a saint, receiving the Spirit of God, was, and forgive me, it was like a woman experienced sexual pleasure. Look at her face. And trust me, that's what I didn't come up with that idea. That is, if you read a lot about that particular statue, that's what Gian Lorenzo Bernini wanted you to understand. and about this experience. And so, you know, that is the spirit of Baroque fancy. And by the way, another thing of Gianlorenzo Bernini, and I'll be sending you these pictures later on, Bernini's altarpiece, which stands in the very center. It stands in the very center of St. Peter's Basilica. And I'll send you a picture of it. And this altarpiece, one of my students sent me the picture. I'd seen it myself, but at the time it was in 1989, and I was like, wow, that's something. And look the other way. Gianlorenzo Bernini's altarpiece is made of gilded bronze, and it stands 100 feet tall, gilded bronze. And St. Peter's Basilica is so enormous that 100-foot canopy doesn't come anywhere close to the ceiling. I mean, one day I do hope to go back and see St. Peter's Basilica. That is my hope. One day this coronavirus will be over, and one day maybe I'll get to do that. But it's, you know, there's not a whole lot of places I want to go and look at again, you know. But yeah, St. Peter's Basilica is one of them. I mean, it is bang for your buck, the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in my life. And so, yeah, anyway, and so the essence of Baroque, as it says there, let's begin with the definition of the word Baroque. I also put it in your email. Baroque has several synonyms. I'm having a hard time reading. Let me blow that up. Baroque has several synonyms that help us understand its artistic and architectural meaning. You could use the word ornate. Now, Rococo is actually like more Baroque. Rococo is a offshoot of the Baroque movement, uses a lot of pastels, et cetera, grandeur, colorful, grandiose. I mean, for example, Louis XIV's Palace of Versailles, which we'll talk about later on, is an example of Baroque art. It could be expressed in art, paintings, the grandeur of a sculpture, and the immense size and detail of architecture, like St. Peter's Basilica, like Louis XIV's Palace of Versailles, that I also saw and is the second most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And as well as the educated of paintings. Yes, the Baroque style was a natural evolution of the Renaissance to a higher and more elaborate styling of expression that appeal to both a wider audience as well as a way of impressing guests, visitors, and rivals as well. Now, here's the thing. Protestant Reformation is still raging across Europe. I mean, you get into the Reformation Wars, for example, and I'm moving that over so I can see it better. You get into your Reformation Wars, for example, and the Roman Catholic Church, as I talked about at the very end of last chapter, called together this meeting, the Council of Trent, it was called, where the Pope said, look, guys, we're losing people like bleeding out of a sieve, and we got to do something to stop this. And yeah, part of it was that the Roman Catholic Church in the Counter-Reformation cleaned up its act, and part of it was that the Roman Catholic Church also said, look, we're going to double down. We're going to make, you know, when parishioners used to walk into the Roman Catholic Church, the idea was, here is a preview of what heaven is going to look like. The Roman Catholic Church said, we're going to double down on this. We're going to go more fancy, more ornate, more colorful. And yeah, we are going to really, really make our churches beautiful, our statues more elaborate, you know, our paintings more widespread and eye-catching and eye-popping and slathering color everywhere. The Protestants, however, said, we're going to go in the opposite direction. You know, those Catholics, all they care about, that they care so much about decorating the church, they actually worship the church. They worship the icons, they worship the statues. The Protestants said, we're going to go the opposite direction. And if you watch that other Rick Steve video on the Protestant Reformation, in Northern Europe, from the Netherlands up to Scandinavia, and particularly in Germany, Protestants who took over Roman Catholic Church properties, like these Roman Catholic churches, they went into these churches. And, you know, it's a shame. They went into these churches, they smashed the stained glass windows that were full of artistic decorations of Bible stories. They ripped out the icons, the statues of Mary, Jesus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and smashed them on the street. And then they painted over all of the artwork, painted it normally white or some other plain color. The idea being that the Protestants said, when you go to church, you worship, your mind is only in God. And actually, the Protestants were more in tune to creating music as a part of their worship. And so, yeah, like I said, Catholic fancy, Protestants did not want to offend the sin of pride and vanity, which they said the Catholics were so guilty of. And so, yeah, we're going to stop there. And like I said, you can watch the Rick Steves video, and you can also take the quiz today, the test today, which, as Mr. Beach said, it was pretty easy. Yeah, and that's me. I'll be signing off. Thank you all for watching, and I'll come back to you Monday. Bye for now.